Hello, my name is Lizbeth, and this is my Pecha Kucha presentation on generational divides. With the rise of OK Boomer, generational divides have never been more public than they are today. Each generation is looking down upon the others and arguing that they're so much better in so many ways. Well, history has shown us time and time again that the hate is nothing new, and no matter what generation you are, we're not really that different. If you look at the past couple of generations, you start to see some striking similarities in behaviors and circumstances. Times have certainly changed, but younger generational traits haven't changed too much. The baby boomers were the first ever generation in the US to grow up with new technology in the form of televisions. They listened to new types of music like rock and roll with artists such as Elvis Presley and the Beatles, and they were infamous for their massive drug abuse. They were also extremely politically active. Many protested and were part of a movement since they were affected by various occurring events, such as the Vietnam War. Throughout all of this, however, their parents denounced them as delusional and irresponsible hippies, claiming they were completely different from the other generations and that they would cause the downfall of society, showing generational hate by looking down upon the younger generations. After the baby boomers came Generation X. Generation X was the first ever generation in the US to grow up with the new technological emergence of music videos, which included new types of music, such as disco and the heavier type of rock and roll, with artists such as Bonnie M., Led Zeppelin, Michael Jackson, and more. They were also known for their massive drug abuse as young adults and their political activity. However, the older generations looked down upon them as well for being too rebellious in their behaviors, claiming they were completely different from the other generations and that they would cause the downfall of society, resulting in extreme generational hate. And then the millennials, the first ever generation in the US to grow up with new technology in the form of computers and social media. They listened to new types of music like rap, hip-hop, and pop, with artists such as Gwen Stefani, The Killers, Eminem, and more. They are known for some drug usage and they are extremely politically active, especially since they were affected by 9/11 at such a young age. When it comes to generational hate, millennials have been titled lazy, narcissistic, tech-consumed, delusional, and more. They have also been said to be completely different from the other generations and that they would cause the downfall of society. And finally, Generation Z, the first ever generation in the US to grow up with new technology in the form of iPhones and YouTube. Gen Z listens to new types of music like K-pop and more, with artists such as Billie Eilish, BTS, Taylor Swift, etc. They are known for drug abuse for some young adults and they are well politically active. The generational hate? Well, this generation has been called lazy, extremely technology reliant, delusional, dumb, and more. They have also been said to be completely different from every single other generation and that they would ultimately cause the complete downfall of our society. There are many more similarities, but by now you've probably seen my point. So, if we're so similar, then why all the hate? Well, the answer may be psychological. There was a study conducted once where adults took a test to see how well read some of them are. Some were given false results with much lower scores than what they actually got. As a result, when asked about the younger generation's literacy, they were less likely to say that kids today don't read as much. As Brian Resnick, a writer on Vox.com, said, when adults are led to think that they're not well read, they may recall a past where kids are less well read. So the extreme differences in our generations people like to say that we have may just be a result from a not-so-perfect human memory. This also leads into nostalgia and how people always remember the past being much better than the present. However, generational hate is not one-sided. Younger generations have also fought against the older generations. One example of this would be the OK Boomer saying, which is how the new generation lives in a different world and it doesn't need to follow the mindset of the older generations. Even though we shouldn't disregard the older generations completely, the OK Boomer still makes sense since it's a response, generational hate against generational hate. But when it's not a response, this type of generational divide can come from a lack of information. A famous example of this is when music artist Billy Joel was having a conversation with a 20-year-old. The 20-year-old said, "The world is an unfixable mess," and Joel replied that he thought the same things when he was young. But the person responded with, Yeah, but you grew up in the 50s, and everybody knows that nothing happened in the 50s. This statement shocked Joel to his core and led him to write the song We Didn't Start the Fire, which names several famous events and people from the 50s and forward, proving that things did happen in his generation. Of course, just like the hate, the lack of information goes both ways. So, what do? Well, there's not much to do. It's basically just a cycle of human nature. The old will always look down on the young, and the young will always respond back with some sort of shrug. We could try talking to each other more instead of aggressively posting comments online about today's and yesterday's kids, and realize that generational descriptions are just a generalization, and these preconceptions are sometimes false. No generation is the superior one, and no generation is the worst. The saying on the screen means a butterfly with a good memory never judges any caterpillar. We might not have a good memory, but we should be able to understand where the caterpillar is coming from. Thank you for watching my presentation.